I got to think about how I want to do this now. What's that?
You're the professional.
Yeah, I don't put much thought into it. I just wing
Well, that's the same way I do.
it. So, all right, we'll introduce you and get firing. Welcome to a special midweek edition of SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast. It's something we're trying different. It's sponsored by Moose's LZ Bar and Grill in Jonestown, PA. Head out there for some great food at a great price. Joining us on the phone is Dylan Cisney, winner of the Labor Day Classic at Port Royal Speedway. Dylan, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. This is a pretty big week for you. Not just winning the Labor Day Classic, but also the Tuscarora 50, which we'll get to in a second. But Labor Day, you mentioned in Victory Lane how meaningful that win is for you and how you've been close before. Even had, I think, a fight in the pit area one day. Have all kinds of stuff. It's always a hootenanny up there. What was winning that race like for you after trying so many years?
It was pretty special. Just it's always one of them races that gets an extra star on the calendar next to for me. I know it's probably not up there for a lot of people on their list, but as a kid growing up here, it's just something that's always stood out in my mind. The Labor Day Classic, the fair going on. When I was a little kid, I can remember coming back home from church and heading to the fair on the weekends. And you used to have Williams Grove on Sunday, and then you'd come home from watching that and go to bed early so you could wake up and get your lawn chairs under the oak tree there in front of the church stand and save your spot to get your turkey dinner when they opened up. Before you know it, you heard race cars on the track in the afternoon while you're running around the fair as a kid. So just that initial weekend of racing of the fair is kind of special to me. Everybody knows Tuscarora 50 weekend for what it is, but that's the kind of beginning of the fair that always stood out to me. So to be able to win that race, it's a really old school type of feel. It's a lot of people don't realize that's kind of the foundation of automobile racing. Way back when, you had agricultural fairs all across the United States of America, and there was always a big event of some type of an auto race that was held on them fairgrounds racetracks. So I don't know if there even is any other daytime shows that go on during a fair in the country anymore. So to keep that tradition going and put my name in the record books, that's at the top of my list now.
I'm old. Obviously, you're not near as old as I am, but I remember there's something special about standing in turn 4 in the pit area at Port Royal Speedway, even at night on Thursday, Friday, Saturday coming up, and looking down the front stretch, seeing a packed grandstand with the Ferris wheel in the background going into turn 1. I have many pictures from Brent Smith with that view. I agree. I think that's something that's maybe missing in sprint car racing or auto racing in general, is just that old school feel where you have something else bringing in fans and not just the races, which is something you and I talked about last night.
Yeah, I'm kind of a stickler for tradition. You obviously got to keep up with the times, of course, but there's just some things that always hold the test of time. Labor Day weekend racing at Port Royal, heading into the Tuscarora 50 during Fair Week. That's just such a tradition that's ingrained in the sprint car people's minds around here. It's really special. Tuscarora 50 has always been big. We've always had good crowds, but to see it grow over the last 6 years with the increased purse and the extra teams coming in, then in turn you get more fans adding seats to the place, and it just continues to get bigger and bigger each year. And over what's going to be about 10 years time, it went from being a big central PA race to one of the marquee events across the whole United States for sprint car racing.
And we're going to shift gears to the Tuscarora 50. It's a race that's special to you. Now, you're also the mayor of Port Royal. That's not just a made-up nickname. You truly are. What's that race mean to Port Royal, the town?
It's huge. That's kind of the one thing that really puts our town on the map. Port Royal Speedway itself has gained a lot of traction over the last decade. It's got to be well more more well known from the streaming of racing on Flow. People across the country kind of got introduced to it, so that's attracted those people to come into some of the races throughout the year. But when you travel the country throughout the year, or when we're at Eldora or in Knoxville, and the fans come up to you and they say, "Hey, we're coming into the Tuscarora 50, or we're using our week of vacation to come to the Juniata County Fair so we can watch the 50," that's stuff that you didn't hear 10 years ago. So to have that put on that grand of a stage across the country with all the fans, it's just pretty special. I mean, it just does great things for the town to bring the people in to help grow our fair. Everybody makes out good. The people that live in town, they can park cars and get a little extra money here and there, help afford to take their kids to the fair for another night. It's hard to put into words what it's like to see a town of less than 1,000 people grow to over 15,000 for, maybe only 24 hours.
So for you as a driver, it's also a special race. You're from Port Royal, you live there, and also it's a race that you covet. How grueling is a 50-lap race around Port Royal Speedway? Because at some point you need to bang the boards, but you have to win it also in the middle or the bottom, which is more your specialty. It does transition a lot. What's running 50 laps like at Port Royal Speedway?
It's tough. It's not so much physically grueling. The track always changes. Some nights it's a little more physically demanding, but it's more of the mental aspect of it. It's really no different than Monday. That's one of the reasons why I love the Labor Day track. It slows down. It gets more technical. You got to put some thought into each corner of what you're doing and looking ahead through traffic and what's coming up. And the Tuscarora 50 is the same way. You got tire management that comes into play. You get that break halfway through to get a few minutes with your guys to try and make the adjustments that you need. But it's really, you got to put a whole perfect night together. You got a time trial heat race to get yourself in a position to be there at the halfway break and have a shot to do something in the final 25. So it just takes a lot of mental focus between you and the guys and just trying to put yourself in the position to win the 50.
Well, what I thought is unique is Anthony Macri last year started deep, 18th, 19th, came up to win. You can salvage your night. So
Yeah.
does that kind of give you, hey, if I don't time well, I'm still not out of this thing? Is that something that also crosses your mind because of what happened last year?
Yeah, I've seen it happen multiple times throughout the years. Not too many years ago, I watched Brian Monteith do it. He came up through from the back up
Yeah.
on the fence way. So it's been done a handful of times over the years. Luckily, Port Royal Speedway is usually one of the most raciest tracks in the country. So that always it makes you feel good as a driver knowing that the event is on that type of a surface, that type of a track that you can pass cars throughout the night. So obviously, you don't want to make it that hard on yourself, but you just take it one step at a time. That's what too many people show up to the Tuscarora 50 or any big race for that matter, trying to think how they can win it. And the first part of winning the race is you got to be in the race. So, you got to take it step by step and just try and put yourself in the best position you can.
Does winning the Labor Day Classic kind of give you a better feeling going into this event? I talked to you numerous times this year. It's not as many wins as you want. Obviously, of course, as a driver, you always want more. But it seems like your team has found a little bit of speed here of late. You were second at Sealands Grove on Sunday, I believe, and then you came back and you win the Labor Day Classic. Are you hitting your stride at the right time?
Yeah, it definitely helps. Obviously the things that I did behind the wheels of driver and the things the guys did to the car and the pits on Monday aren't necessarily going to correlate to Thursday, Friday, Saturday for nighttime racing. But that momentum and mindset of, hey, we just won a big fair race, that always helps the guys. It's 90% of this game seems to be mental most days. When you're struggling, you just keep getting down night after night. And it's hard to pull yourself back up out of that hole. And then there's times when you get on a good stretch and it's like you can do no wrong. So to be able to win the race that's going to lead you right into the 3 nights of the 50, that's about the best momentum you can feel that you can get for those nights.
Do you like the Thursday part of it?
It's not bad. I don't know if it's necessary. 3 nights of racing is a lot. Not just teams, but teams, drivers, fans, everybody. I mean, I guess selfishly as a driver, if I was just the type that's showing up with a helmet bag, getting a race, then sure, Thursday's good. It's more laps, it's more seat time to be able to feel comfortable for Friday and Saturday. You do have those two possibilities to be locked in as the winner on both of those nights to at least know that you're showing up Saturday into the show. So there's good and bad things. Obviously we showed up last year and bent a car right away on Thursday night. So it's like you start bad and then you got 2 more nights to go. So it's just one of those things. You just got to play it by ear and hope you put a good first night together and know that you got 2 more to get it dialed in for 50 laps.
Obviously, I hate to bring up the weather, but I have to. How as a driver do you kind of prepare? I mean, you kind of go in, you know what to expect. I think we're going to be in and out and not really sure what's going to happen this weekend. The weather can change like crazy. How do you deal with that as a team if you kind of have a game plan when you're going to have to probably adjust on the fly? And in some cases, you might even have to hope you draw the pole.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it tough. I mean, obviously, as long as you don't get physical rain during the event,
Yep.
it doesn't make it too bad. The worst ones are when you get a rain shower and the track gets basically put back as a clean slate or ran in or redone because of some rain here and there. That obviously makes it tough. But, we've had rain over the last couple of years, and I know the Thursday night shows seem to be pretty fast the last couple of years in a row. And even a couple of years, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I think we had some rain on Saturday morning, and it was a pretty heavy track, but you still got 50 laps, and it ended up being about a normal Tuscarora 50 till it was all said and done. So you just show up and do what you know works, and whatever's meant to happen will happen.
Well, unless it's lap 26 and you're leading, then anything's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
You get $56,000.
Yeah.
Have you thought about what it'd be like to win that a race? Not only from the standpoint of, hey, it's the money, it's the prestige, but you're from there. I don't know the last guy who's from Port Royal to win that race.
I'd say there probably has never been. It would just be pretty special to get my name in the history books. Obviously you always want to win more races, but, I'm just always thankful for the ones that we do get, especially the marquee ones. If you get a Speed Week win, or now we got a Labor Day Classic, a couple opening day wins up there. If I could get that Tuscarora 50, that's pretty much at the top of my list. It's my life consists of 365 days a year. There's really only one of the 365 that's truly a special, serious, and memorable day all kind of thrown into one. So I don't really know how to describe it to people. It's just something that you get from growing up here and watching it as a kid, now being part of it. We've been right there a couple of years with a third and a fourth, and being right there almost at the cusp of having your shot at it. It would just be pretty special to get that one.
Well, Dylan, thank you for coming on quick during the day. I know you're busy. I know you're getting ready for tomorrow. And again, good luck this weekend.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.